We should be live. All right, we are we in? Are we good? All right. I guess I'm a little crooked. We're still working through this process, so we're gonna figure out a way to get a more permanent tripod set up for this camera. Anyways, welcome to our what did I call this? Late night photo flips. Yes, that's I think a better term. uh, The technical term when we sort through photos. Yes, it is culling, but culling has a not a great connotation around it. So, late night photo flips is kind of, I think I wanted to have a more fun name with it for it. So we're going to try that. Let me know if you like it. Let me know if you hate it. But I need to get through some photos from Saturday. I think Saturday. Let's readjust this just a little bit. There we go. Oh, I like that. We had a pretty big busy Saturday, so let's get to it. I'll talk about it. I think this is a fun way for us to interact. Let's get into a photo. Let's get into a gallery because we need to we need our culling so I can get to bed and do some stuff early in the morning. Anyways, hey, Saturday. Saturdays are big days. We had a pretty busy Friday. No, we didn't because we all everything was canceled. Again, we mastered our video, mastered the video. Saturday, however, things were on. So we ended up at a couple of wrestling tournaments and a couple of basketball games. We were hoping for more. Things just didn't work out. But I went through one of these galleries already. I went through our Sparta wrestling invite already. I'm going to go through just a few photos here, and then we're going to move on to a gallery that hasn't been taken care of. I don't think we're going to complete full galleries. Um, I'm not going to call it. I think that's a lot to maybe sit through. But again, this is more for me than for you in terms of what we're going to learn. I need to continue to find my voice, try to keep this part of the job fun, and develop my voice as I walk you through how we work with photos. Um, so Sparta had wrestling boys tournament and girls tournament. I love when schools are able to do that. I think it just brings everybody together better. Wrestling, like cross country, is probably done better together. If you only ran the boys or only ran the girls at a cross country meet, I think it would just take a little something out of it. But running the boys and the girls, even if they are in different gyms or in slightly different places, I still think it kind of makes for a fun day. All right, so we do have some things to call here. So we have a royal girl getting pulled to the mat. I got rid of both of those because neither figure looked great in those. Again, Sparta's gymnasiums are fine. The lighting's mediocre in the old one. It's decent in the new one, but all of their mats are red, and they just throw off this red color cast. Look in our faces here. Their faces are more, I guess, cherry colored than what they should be, simply because the mats are red and they give off that color cast. Kind of drives me bonkers. You're going to see as I flip through these. Yes, we've got a bunch of girls' photos in here. This is part of the girls' portion. The boys will show up in a bit. You're going to see that we get to a lot of our screens where I'm showing the bouts, the names, and my reason for that, it helps me identify the kids because I don't know all these kids. They don't have jersey numbers. There's no real way to keep track of who's who. But having the bout boards really makes it easy for me. These are really nice bout boards. Some places just have numbers. Some places do a really bad job because they don't show the weight class. I like to find the weight class, and then I can usually figure out the round and the matchup, whether it be again like this one here is a Neilsville and Monona Grove. So I could figure it out if I didn't know the weight class, but this has everything on it, and that's awesome. For those who are putting up the bout number, you'll see in the screen here it says bout 1026. Yeah, trying to find that, going on USA Bracketing to and trying to figure out what match number 1032 is. 1026, 11th, 1029. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. It's just it's not it's very time intensive. Um, Anyways, I thought that we did some good things. I moved around, so here I'm on the side of the mat. Again, they've stacked two mats next to each other, and on the short side, I don't get a chance to move to the short side. The walkway, I don't want to crowd the walkway. I can only shoot one mat at a time that way. It's hard for me. It doesn't give me the most bang for my buck. But if I'm shooting from the middle of the mat. Again, the long side, I'm shooting in the middle of the 2 mats. I can shoot 2 mats, but then again, I'm getting the same images over and over. Here, look, we have a nice vertical wrestling shot. I love our takedown shots when we get if we can get them, they usually look pretty good. Single leg takedowns, when you get a nice single leg, oh, and hopefully we'll see some of those when we get to the boys here. Um, those really, to me, are fun. Let's speed up this process because I think, again, I don't want to waste a lot of time in a gallery that I've already taken care of. Let's go find our boys, and I'll talk about. There we go. So I shot this horizontally, but we're gonna have a nice, single leg takedown. This always looks good for wrestling, and this is a great example simply because tell, look, he's hooking the leg like he's supposed to. He's driving his own weight into the kid, the Holman kid against the Chippewa Falls kid, and he's gonna, score a pretty easy takedown this way. Yeah, when we can get action like that, I'm all for it. All for it. Okay. So that's what we did there. From there, I wanted to go north. I wanted to try to get some Dairyland Conference boys basketball in. Couldn't make it to Eau Claire Emmanuel. They had a 1:30 game. Couldn't get up there in time, so we went to CFC. CFC hosted Alma Pepin. Um, let's see if I can scrub through these pretty well. Again, I haven't seen these. No, again, if it's out of focus, if we have weird legs, we're not going to keep those. We are going to bounce on those. Um, Here we have kind of weird legs. We have weird, the whole body doesn't set up right. So we're going to delete this. We're going to keep this. Here, the passing shot's fine, but the hands are in a weird position. So we're going to get rid of it. Backs of heads, we're going to get rid of it. Catch my drift? I see a lot of people that are willing to save a lot of those photos. It might not be wrong for them to save those photos, but quite honestly, it's we don't need to save them. We don't need to save them. I'm pretty good about getting rid of stuff. When it comes to digital clutter, I am good at getting rid of stuff, but I'm not that way with actual literal stuff. Um, Again, I think this thing might be jumping around a little bit here, but let's go through what we can go through. Um, so I had Logan with me. You can see Logan in the bottom right hand corner here. Because we had two of us, we just said, you take this half, I'll take that half. That way, we're typically not shooting the exact same stuff from the exact same angle, at least. Um, and it allowed us to kind of knock out more photos than just one guy shooting. So I haven't seen her stuff. I'm really curious to see what she gets. I think she sometimes takes some risks, and usually that pays off for her. When I say risks, I mean she's willing to try some things, even if it means that she's not going to end up with a million D photographs, which is fine. Sometimes the risky stuff really does pay off in a big way. Um, I'm gonna. I don't think he's sharp. I'm gonna get rid of it. All right. So again, I've talked about it before. Shooting from the ground, it's a good angle, especially when you're driving the lane. Now, it'd be even better if the camera didn't suddenly jump autofocus here and there. Um, you can definitely get some nice conflict photos through that, but it's hard to follow the action when the camera isn't on my eye. It's really hard to follow the action. I really struggle with that. Um, Sometimes I do a good job and sometimes I don't. That's all. Um, but I like the challenge because otherwise it's the same thing. I need to challenge myself game in, game out. The challenge here, I mean, I didn't have a ton of challenges because again, just we showed up. It's basketball. We had two people shooting. I knew that we are going to end up with probably too many images from this one game, but we don't get a chance to see either of these schools very much. So I don't really care. Like we grab a bunch of photos. Hopefully we can get through these. And tomorrow I can drop a little mini gallery about the game. That's how we like to do things. We'll see. I've got some other obligations to get through. Again, part of this exercise is yes, I'm culling the photos. I'm getting rid of the junk. Oh, looks like we're done there. Okay, well, that's not true. It just doesn't want to go through and show me everything. Um, let's see how this works out. This might dictate what we do. Um, we have a lot of photos. I get it. Saturday, it was a big day for us. We don't get to the Dairyland a lot. I wanted to see some Dairyland. So let's go a little wild. There's nothing wrong with that. This game was a pretty good game. It was a pretty close game until all of a sudden it wasn't. And Logan made the comment that all of a sudden, CFC kind of sneaky like broke away and the game wasn't competitive. Elma Pepin kept pushing the envelope, but ultimately they were down by 10, 15, and weren't going to come back. I liked this a lot. This is a good sequence. Look at how clean our background is. The action and the expression are really good. I don't need all of these. I really like the hand wrapping around, but the legs are too awkward for me, so I'm going to boot it. Now, here's the other thing. You can follow my cursor here. On his right side, you can see they have a scorers table that is one of that everybody used to have this style of scorers table. It lights up in the front. There's school logos and school name, whatever. But it's a trend that I think we've gone away from to not have this lit up scoreboard. It actually is really distracting when it comes to photographing a ball game because the light is overpowering, and I have the most trouble with it, I think, at CFC. But most places don't have a lit up scoreboard or lit up scorers table like they do there. At one point in time, like I said, I think it was all the rage. And we've gone away from it since then, for whatever reason. This is a fun sequence. I'm getting rid of a lot of these. There's well, I guess that's what it was. I was close. It was not a perfect sequence. Anyways, this game was kind of fun to shoot, but again, when the game kind of gets out of hand and when we're there for too long, I tend to get a little bored. It's hard to find or a new way to shoot the game. Um, so I just try to keep moving around. Sometimes we've succeeded, sometimes we haven't. Wow, this one might be sharp. I'm going to keep it and get rid of these other ones. Again, I talked about perspective before, right? Right? So perspective. Look at this. We're fighting for a rebound, but we're underneath the basket. Now, the only thing that would make this look a little bit cooler would be a wider angle lens. This is a 70 millimeter. The 70 millimeter version or side of a 70 to 200 millimeter lens. I'm going to get rid of all these because there's nothing there. Can't see faces. It's a bunch of bodies. I'm so close, but yet we're so far from actually succeeding with something there, and that's okay. If I had like here, I've got a 17 to 40, which is maybe a little too wide. I believe someplace I have a something to 72. Is it 35 to 72? I don't know. I've got a lens that I had that is a pretty nice mid-range lens. That actually, or maybe Logan has that right now. She's used it, I know, before, and it gives you some interesting looks that are just, especially for basketball, when you're kind of close to the baseline, it's not as wide as a wide angle, but it still is something interesting. All right, so we didn't get through all of these. I flipped through some of these. Again, this computer does something weird where it will not recognize all the photos in a folder for like 12 hours, or in this case, more. Okay, so we went to CFC, got the game done. Our plan was to go back down the river, head to Galesville, go watch the Whitehall girls at GET because they were going to start at 6:30, but we had a lot of time to kill in between. And I said, you know what? Maybe it is okay. Let's go to Arcadia. Let's see if we can catch the back end of wrestling. And we did. We saw 7 or 8. I think we saw just over half of the finals matches. And that was totally worth going for. Totally worth going for. Let's jump in here. Again, I don't have a great idea of what weight classes I'm running because the boards didn't it wasn't on the boards. it was hard to see. Oh, look, there's Logan. Oh, look, and there's Zach. That's cool. If you guys know Zach, he now works for the Trumpeldor County Times, the newspaper, but he used to do work with us, Monroe County Herald. He used to be the sports editor for Juneau County Star Times before they got rid of everybody that was good. Um, yeah, that's a story for a different day. Anyways, he was giving me a hard time about not showing up in Arcadia. So I wrecked his day by showing up. It was great. We have a very healthy relationship, by the way. He sends insults my way and I send them back. Again, one of the downsides for this tournament, it was hard to figure out what weight class was going because they weren't on bout boards. The third place and fifth place matches were going at a different pace than the championship. Again, it was a little unruly from a casual showing up late spectator point of view, but I'm glad we went. We got to see some different teams that we don't normally get to see. Arcadia had a number of kids wrestling. CFC had a couple kids. It was cool to see Cadot kids. We had some Menominee kids that were pretty decent. For me, the big ones, the biggest ones were seeing Aquinas wrestle because I haven't seen Aquinas wrestle. One of the problems with wrestling, in my opinion, if you have a good team, you're never going to see him wrestle. Why? Because your conference duels, I mean, GET's a high quality team as well. You're never going to see him wrestle usually you're never going to see him wrestle a quality duel in conference unless you see them wrestle the one other team that's good. Because we just have such a disparity in terms of ability or numbers. So when it comes to tournament, you get to see all their kids wrestle. That to me is important. At a duel, you might see certain kids wrestle, but then you might not see I hate to say this, but like their stud kid you'll never see wrestle because the other team's trying to win the duel, which means don't wrestle the best guys out there. Forfeit your way around everybody. Throw, this sacrificial lamb out, give up the 5 or 6 points, use your stud kids to score points. It makes sense, don't get me wrong, but it really makes watching wrestling duels tough to watch. Tournaments, however, again, look at this. I get to watch, I think, basically lineups, almost full lineups in the finals for some of these kids. And the same thing at the Sparta tournament. I mean, I got to see a number of high level kids wrestle, even if it was a quarterfinal, even if it was only for 30 seconds before they stuck a kid. I'm okay with that. We still get to see them wrestle versus them walking out to the mat, having their hand held up. Nobody wants to see that. Oh, shoot. This is a decent photograph, but the Cadot kid is kind of cut off. So I don't know. We might not be able to save that one. We've got some nice faces here. Some of these are in focus, some are not. Nice hand fighting, but we don't have a clear control. Again, I'm watching a match differently than even a regular spectator, I think. There's nothing wrong with that. We have to watch it a certain way because we're looking for certain angles. We're looking for certain looks. And weird things can happen. There was a weird sequence. I hope this comes up. Again, I'm going to go through until this thing doesn't want me to go through anymore, and then I'll bounce to my last game. Oh, yes. This was a weird sequence. I don't know exactly what happened here, but somehow this kid, I think it's a Minnetonka kid. I think looking at the photograph, he's being pressed into the mat by a knee, it looks like. But if you look at just his entire body position, that's weird, isn't it? That's kind of unique. So that any one of these would be good fodder for social media posts because of the difference. Oh my gosh. Do you guys see this? This is a wonderful takedown reversal. They are airborne and out of focus. You know how upset I am? Disappointed. This is a great shot. You put this thing in focus, that's a great shot. That's a top 10% probably. But guess where it's going to go? That's right, trash can. trash can because you can't see what's happening. Dang it. And that, you know what? Now that I see that photo, I remember that situation, and it was disappointing then, as disappointing then as it is now. We miss stuff. Sometimes the cameras operate, sometimes they don't operate. That's okay. I'm like I said, I'm really glad that we went to this tournament. The Wanting Center is a great facility. They had the auxiliary gym wall down. So again, I think they ran 5 mats. That's pretty cool. That's a lot of wrestling in one place. Um, and they had girls wrestling too. So I'm guessing that they had the old gym active as well at different points in the day. Again, this is why wrestling is cool. Look at what our bodies are doing. They're doing weird things. We don't get body positioning like this in other sports. Wrestling is cool. Yeah, this was a pretty good match, actually. I wish I could tell you what the weight class was off the top of my head. I don't remember. 157? 150? Somewhere in there, maybe. It was a good match. I think Arcadia Kid had a chance to tie it late, couldn't get a takedown, and ended up losing by 4 or 5 points. It was good. Um, again, you don't like I talked about earlier, bout boards. I wasn't shooting a lot of bout boards because it just they didn't give me enough information. So that's a note. Hey, schools, if you're going to run a tournament, get the bout boards out. We don't want to see. You can show the bout number, but I think it's more important to show the weight class. I think it's more important to show the weight class. But yeah, we had fun watching some different wrestling teams. We don't do a lot of wrestling during the week. We leave it for the weekends, like I said, so it's more bang for a buck. So we can see these kids, the really good kids. We can see them. We won't see them during the week. It's just the nature of the sport. Yeah, all the goods, and sometimes again, this match here, I believe the CFC kid won, but we never really see him in a position of strength or power simply because all the action happened with him facing away from my camera. 215. Okay, so with their heavyweights or heavier weights, you know what happens? They just usually dance around. We don't get a lot of shots. We don't get a lot of takedowns. You get lucky sometimes when they end up like here. One bear mauls the other bear. You just it's kind of like baseball. You've got to be ready for it. And as soon as you fall asleep, something happens. So you always have to have your head on a swivel ready to go. It's really hard to stay alive and pay attention through an entire bout, especially if it's such a slow plodding match. So again, have you guys any of you out there go photograph wrestling? Have you tried it? Any of you have to deal with the stupid spotlight when it comes to um, our duels? Yeah, spotlight, dumb. I understand the ambiance, but it makes photography impossible. I think it's impossible for the officials to actually see what's going on underneath because everything is top lit. So everything underneath is in shadow. You can't see what's happening in terms of locked hands, in terms of what hands are grabbing. Um, and as a fan, you can't see the stupid match. Get rid of the spotlight. Tournaments are fine. We can see everything. We've got broad daylight. Broad daylight. Yeah, one of the things I'm trying to do is I need to make sure I bring this is an inner dialogue, inner monologue. I need to make sure I bring some fun to to the podcast bits that we do because I try to be a fun guy. I think we try to have some fun with things, and that's where I think I can succeed where others can't because I can be a little more loosey goosey and have some fun. Like I said, look at this single leg takedown. I don't think he actually finished the shot, but it always looks good. Get that leg in the air, raise it high. Looks good. Maybe he did finish. This was a 215 bout. That I do know. I know that we're getting close to the end. And this match, the heavyweight match, wasn't a bad match. Um, again, I like some of these shots. These are it's the stalking, it's the prowling shots. They look good because your competitor, they're in the zone. It's no different than you'll oftentimes see, I'll shoot the guys walking around and they've got on their ears. Yeah, I think it's a cool look. Again, some of these are this was such a technically sound match. There wasn't a pin. I think it was the tech fall. Um, would the Aquinas kid ended up winning pretty handily and controlled the match. It was just such a technically well wrestled duel, duel duel. But it didn't provide for a lot of photos, a lot of really exciting photos because we didn't get a lot of. I mean, we got some near fall, but it wasn't, in my opinion, the really good looking near fall photos. Takedowns were really quick, not necessarily photographic, or they were facing away from me once again. All right, how long are we going here? Wow. Look at that. I see that. I think this is cool. 25 minutes? Wow, that's too long. Okay, well, we'll try to wrap this up real quick. I'll try to get done before the 30-minute mark. I'm just going to jump in. We walked to a Leave a Strum right as the national anthem was playing. So we didn't have to wait around. We went and watched some basketball. Same thing. I shot this game. Logan didn't. She was editing photos and trying to get something online for the night. She was culling photos to, just try to make the best use of her time. I had the crop sensor on for most of this. I tried to shoot some weird stuff. It just at the end of a long day of travel, at the end of a long day of a lot of things, it was just really hard to find a creative space. So everything I shot here, I call it very, very workmanlike. It's basketball. It's the game of basketball. Photos like this, oh, would have been great if that hand is either lower or higher or just not there. Again, that's better. I'll keep this one. Some of these there's no reason to keep. Again, it's out of focus. I'm shooting all the way across the court. You're gonna have some mistakes from time to time because the computers are thinking about how to crop things or how to focus on things. Um, I'm glad that we were able to see some more Dairyland action because we don't get a chance to see a lot of the Dairyland this winter. Every time I've wanted to go, we've had just garbage weather, and when you have icky weather, it doesn't really make me get up. Get up for a trip to Independence, Leave a Strum, even Augusta. It can be kind of a tough sell. But anyways, again, last night, so again, Saturday night was a fine time to jump in and just sink our teeth into the Dairyland a little bit. In Trempealeau County, I mean, if you guys don't know, Trempealeau County's got a lot of schools. There's a lot of sport things happening in Trempealeau County almost at all times. Good. That's good celebration on the bench. I think here I wasn't concerned about a face. I was just trying to see what I could follow tight. And I know what I was trying to get. Shoot, I deleted them all. I wanted to see hands and ball. Look at this. I wanted to see hands touching ball as it gets released or as they all clamor for a rebound. Not easy to do, hard to find, especially because that stupid autofocus wants to grab something else. We shot an okay game, but it's hard to stay dialed in for an entire day. It really is. And I think we did a mediocre job. Wrestling really wears me down because it's a lot of the same shot, same shot, same shot. And we spent too much time. I don't know, maybe not too much time, but a lot of time at wrestling. I spent too much time in Sparta. How about that? We sat around an hour before they could actually get wrestling going. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. We're going to start at 10, show up at 10:30. Guess what? Another 35 minutes before we actually start. I mean, they were 65 minutes behind. I don't care. There's no excuse for that. People show up, you've got table workers, everything. Nobody wants to sit around an extra hour because wrestling coaches can't figure out brackets. That's one of the biggest drawbacks for me. That's one of the biggest anti-selling points for wrestling is that every tournament start time is hijacked by something. Anyways, there are a lot of missed shots here. It was hard because again, I'm trying to catch a wide variety of players. Oh, that's how we finished the ball game. Trying to catch a wide variety of players, and at some point in time, um, you just end up seeing the same handful of kids, unless the game's a blowout. If the game's a blowout, then you'll get some backups, but even then, that's pretty late in the game, and by then the game's kind of over. So it's hard to get ramped up for some of those shots. Was this game great? No, this game wasn't great. This is a perfect example of a perfectly average ball game. One team had a lead for a little bit. They fought early on. The other team was, who was probably the better team, found a way to take control of the game and then really just assert their will throughout. Um, that's how most games are, whether it be basketball, whether it be baseball, volleyball, it doesn't matter. Most games are not that exciting to photograph, not that exciting to cover because they are very, very run of the mill. However, it's our role as photographers, as creators, as writers, it's our role to make that game look unique, different. And from what I've seen in this gallery, we have a good collection of images that can help sell this game as and do it justice. We don't want to be disrespectful to a game. We want to make it look good. Anyways, this is the end of our night. It was a good night. The highlights on the way home, new Quick Trip in Osseo, really nice. That was I knew that they'd been building something, didn't know that's what they were actually gonna get. Again, what is it really that special? No, not really. It's a new Quick Trip, that's all. New Quick Trips look new. Ah, good facial expression, good conflict while getting fouled. We had fun on Saturday. We got to see some different things. Wrestling tournaments are like track. They're like track meets. They're like cross country meets. We get to see a lot of people from a lot of different places, and that's what I love. Heading to CFC for afternoon matinee basketball was cool. Getting to watch an actual meaningful Dairyland game at the end of the night. Again, this is a Leave Strom Whitehall game. Fantastic. We have a lot of non. Oh yeah, I do remember this. Where's that ball at? Interesting. Um, a lot of times we'll get a late night game, but it's a non-conference game. It's weird. It doesn't really mean anything. Again, I'm always going to say conference games mean something, and they're more fun to cover because there's juice in the game. So, anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed following along tonight. I think we got most of our culling done. I'm looking at my numbers. We should be getting through this game pretty, quickly. This way, again, I'm letting you guys peek behind the curtain. These are some of my mistakes. This is a mistake photo. Okay. Good, bad, you can judge it. That's fine. Judge me. But again, part of being a good photographer is knowing what to get rid of. We don't keep this photo. It's the back of a head. He's already passed the ball. It's gone. Same thing. We were hoping for something. It just didn't work. The framing didn't work. There was an official here. He's gone. This photo's gone. I'm going to keep this because I like the pattern. I like coach interactions, talking. Sometimes we try to take we take photos of a lot of different things in the game, and I do remember being humbled this point in the game. I try to position, nothing worked. Look, our main figures tucked behind others. And again, here our hands, our legs aren't it's not good body position. That photo's gone. Photo's gone. Cut off too much of the head. We don't have a ball. Photo's gone. Do we have a face? Nope. Photo's gone. Photo's gone. Photo's gone. Photo's gone. Photo's gone. You have to be ruthless. If you're going to, I don't want to say look the part. A lot of my shortcomings, again, look, you're seeing junk. You don't see it because I don't share the junk. Part of being good or making it look like you're good at what you do is knowing when to share and when to delete, when to keep, when to delete, when to share, and when just to leave. We had fun on Saturday. It was a great time for Logan and I just to hang out. She got to shoot a little bit. We got to talk about some things as we went along. She got to visit. I don't think she'd been to a Leave Strum before, indoor or outdoor. So I think that's a positive. And she doesn't get to the Wannick Center often. and we always like going to Arcadia because it's a nice place to work with and a good place for a wrestling tournament. We had a number of media friends we get to hang out with along the way, but I thought we had a pretty good day. And looking at, yeah, I'm gonna keep that. I can see an eyeball. If we were to work with this, there's plenty to work with there. These, on the other hand, can't see an eyeball, so we have to get rid of those. Yeah, I think we got through all these. Anyways, thanks for walking along with this with this process. It allows me to cull photos and make content at the same time. If you found it helpful or educational, I really, really, really hope that you say something about it. That's the only way that I'm going to. Again, I need feedback, good or bad. If you hate it, absolutely hate this, and think it's a really dumb thing for us to do, it's okay to say that because I need to hear um, what the audience wants to hear or see or view. On the other hand, though, it's really nice to be able to sit and talk while I go through photos. It makes this process, which is a pretty tedious process, go a lot faster. Anyways, we're gonna leave it at that. Let's flip back to our main screen. Let's stop the sharing. So we're back, should be back just in the one camera. Hello. Um, Anyways, we're going to end there. I think we're at 30 minutes. Oh, God, 36 minutes. Sorry, everybody. This got long. Again, like it or hate it. Let me know. I'm still practicing. I'm going to screw this thing up more and more. But going through photos and sharing that behind the scenes, the whole pile of gunk with you, great. And then you can see what happens now when we go through and select the good ones and share them. Also, now my things are culled, so I can just pick out a few things and drop those online, hopefully for Monday morning. I'll end it there. What do I call this? Late night photo flips? Late night photo flips. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like the name, great. If you have a better name, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. Thanks again for watching. Remember, tune into the Extended Cutline podcast when we drop those. Otherwise, just keep following the YouTube channel. That's good. Hopefully, we're putting out good content. This is exactly the kind of interaction I want to continue building because I think it's great. I think it's a great way for me to share what we're doing with you and to kind of be different. I think other people do podcasts. I don't know if they're doing it like this or about this content in this area. We're going to end it like that. Thanks, everybody. You guys have a good rest of your week. Let's go make some more videos. Let's go make some more photos. We'll see you at a sporting event. I'm looking forward to hopefully a warmer week, no snow, no ice, and no cancellations. I'm Nate Byer. Thanks for watching. We'll see you at the next game and 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 the next game. Adios.